Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the... Oh, sorry, I'll turn my camera on. 1 second, please. Sorry about that. Welcome everyone to the council meeting of Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. Before we have the land acknowledgement, a couple of housekeeping items I'd like to make clear. Could everyone please silence their cell phones when in chamber, and when speaking in the mic during open forum, and council members, please remember to talk directly into the mic, as this meeting is being recorded for those at home watching, and also for live streaming on YouTube after the meeting. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as the home for diverse Indigenous people, including the historic Métis community in Penetangwisheen. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nation, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Trees First Nations. The Huron-Wendat also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and the culture that has thrived for millennia in the territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward towards reconciliation. Miigwech. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, July 16th, 2025 be received and adopted.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
All in favor? That is carried. Is there any pecuniary interest of any council member at this time to declare? Councillor Shell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Item 5, sorry, it's the short-term rental closed sessions that we're going to be reported on. I'll excuse myself from them and any others that may come up along today.
Okay, so that's 18. Is short-term rentals, it's not on closed session today, Madam Clerk, or?
No, Mr. Mayor. I believe perhaps what the councillor is speaking to are the previous items, the Thursday, July 3rd and Saturday, July 5th meetings, and maybe the DSC meeting. I am not certain.
Okay,
is
so
that correct?
It's more the minutes.
Councillor?
Is it the minutes he's referring to? Okay.
Potentially?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So do we need to separate those minutes out when we pass them, or do we? What would you prefer?
Yeah, we can separate them out.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Closed session items will be dealt under item 18 today. May we have a draft motion for the 5 sets of minutes, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting held on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025 be received, and the draft minutes of special council meeting held on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. The minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That is carried. And then do you want to cover the last set of minutes off that the
Moved by
councillors recused?
Bard, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held on Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, and the minutes of the special council emergency meeting held on Saturday, July 5th, 2025, be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Recognitions of achievements, there are none this week. There's no public meeting, so we're on to item 8, which is deputation by Stephen Davies and Bill Anderson, Bass Lake Ratepayers Association regarding the shoreline septic system. Gentlemen, welcome to the chamber, and please step forward, just announce your names, and proceed when ready.
Your Worship, members of council and staff, thank you for seeing us this morning. My name is Stephen Davids.
My name is Bill Anderson.
And with us also is Randy Hoover. You've all received the deputation notes, so I'm not going to read them verbatim because I'm going to make the assumption that you've had the chance to read them yourselves. But my name is Stephen Davids, and I'm here along with Bill Anderson and Randy Hoover to represent the Bass Lake Oro-Medonte Ratepayers Association. I've served on that nonprofit organization's executive as president for many years. I'm not the president at the moment. Randy Hoover is the current chair of the Environment Committee, and Bill Anderson has been tremendously supportive in terms of championing our visit here today and this particular topic that we're here for. The Bass Lake Ratepayers Association represents over 500 Oro-Medonte rate-paying households, comprising approximately 363 lakefront and backlot properties surrounding Bass Lake and Oro-Medonte, plus 250 more in Big Cedar Estates. They have property on Bass Lake. Big Cedar is not part of today's discussion because its septic system falls outside of municipal jurisdiction due to its size. What action are we requesting? We've come to ask for council's continued assistance in preserving the water quality of Bass Lake. In particular, today we ask for an expansion of Oro-Medonte's existing septic inspection program to include properties within 100 meters of Bass Lake. We also understand the ramifications of asking specifically for this, so we're extending that beyond that to say we're asking for your help to preserve water quality in Bass Lake, which matters to everybody who uses it. We're going to call this septic system reinspection program, or SSR, and it's for residential septic systems that are already in use. I'll add to that we believe that the township does a very good job specifying and requiring a new septic system builds to be within a certain level of quality and a certain distance from the lake. That's excellent, but we have a lot of older properties in the Bass Lake area, and those properties have septic systems, some of them 50, 70 years old. There are owners that are new to the concept of septic systems. There are people who live in the area who are afraid that if they have their system inspected, that it will be a great cost to replace it because they believe that perhaps it's not fit for duty. And there are short-term rentals that are overusing their septic systems on Bass Lake at any one time. We're also affected in the Bass Lake area by the weather, as everybody is. Extremely warm weather encourages the growth of certain things in the lake more than others. And heavy rainfalls can also overwhelm a septic bed and bring nutrients into the lake. And that can happen even with a well-designed septic system. However, with the existing septic systems that are in place, we have had, it's not just simply when you're in a farm area or rural area and there's a problem with your septic system and it stinks and that stink may go away. This is not about a stink. This is about the nutrients and other chemicals that are in the septic systems that should never make it into the lake. And they are being washed into the lake because of defects in the system, because of improper maintenance of people's individual, personally owned septic systems, and because of weather-related issues or even construction in the area. That can be all sorts of things. When that material finds its way into a lake under the right conditions, environmental conditions, and we have them this week, last week, and a lot more in recent years, where the weather is hot, the lake level is down a little bit, and the nutrients get into the lake, they feed blue-green algae or the E. coli, and we have an outbreak. And there's an outbreak. The most recent one was last week, where Bass Lake Provincial Park had to close their beach because of a blue-green algae outbreak. And blue-green algae is toxic. It's toxic to children, it's toxic to adults, and although it's visible when usually when it's an extreme outbreak, you don't really know that you're swimming in dangerous waters until you start to feel sick, or until the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit, forgive me if I've mispronounced the name of the organization, gives a notification, which usually appears also on the township website, and not everybody sees, that there's a danger in the lake. Please don't swim there. Also, by the way, too many people still take their drinking water from the lake. I don't countenance that, but and I've been recommending for years that people stop doing that and drill a proper well. But there are people who use it to bathe, to cook, and unfortunately, boiling the water, we discovered from the Severn Sound Environmental Agency at our recent annual general meeting, actually concentrates the toxins. So if you take your water from the lake, there's a blue-green algae outbreak, and you boil that water thinking you're going to make it potable, you've actually concentrated the toxins, and you're going to suffer as a result. Anyway, to a certain extent, council may think that we're asking council to help protect people from themselves in this case, and unfortunately, to a certain extent, we are. And we can't do it ourselves, because although we're an organization, we've been educating our members for years, that we cannot comply. We cannot enforce any compliance with for people to keep their septic system properly working. So we've come here to see if council will add to the support that we already have from, for example, provincial representative, a member of provincial parliament, the Honourable Jill Dunlop, and the support we have from the Severn Sound Environmental Agency, and help us put some sort of program in place that puts teeth into the requirement for local people around Bass Lake whose septic systems can, if they fail, affect the lake negatively, to have to do something about it, to maintain their system properly working. We came 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I stood before you, Bill Anderson and I, not you, but council, stood before council. We requested assistance, and we believe that the only outcome of that was a survey of people living on or near the lake. And the survey was, there weren't that many responses. And of course, the people who are loudest about most surveys and in the media tend to be the negative people. And there are people, the very same people who said that they just, they're terrified that there'll be huge costs to them if their septic system isn't suitable. When people are thinking that way, I suspect they're thinking, well, how much of a contribution does my leaking septic system make to the blue-green algae outbreaks? And maybe they're not even there. It's a seasonal resident. Maybe they're not there because they're a short-term rental owner. But even the short-term rental owner should really care about this, because if Bass Lake gets a reputation, if Oro-Medonte gets a reputation for being some sort of cesspool, then it'll be much harder for those short-term rental owners to rent out their properties at the attractive rates that they're getting now. So it's almost in summary, there's so much more to say on this topic, but we would be so grateful if Your Worship, you, the council members, and staff would be supportive of us to come up with a clever program. We've got suggestions, and we'll help with the education, and we'll try to raise some funding if we possibly can, but we don't have money in the bank that we can spend on this to try to implement something that'll fix the problem that we're having. Thank you very much. I don't know if my colleague, I'm sure you've let me go over the 10 minutes, so I'm grateful for that too.
Thanks, Stephen. I would just add almost like an appendix in terms of correspondence that we received in the last little while. I start with from MPP Jill Dunlop, who indicated that she's very supportive of our initiative and a program for Bass Lake. She said she would look into the possibility of the Minister of the Environment for provincial funding that would assist the township in this endeavor. We also, of course, have reference to the Severn Sound Environmental Association in their 2019 report with regard to water quality of Bass Lake. They indicated that Bass Lake would benefit from a septic system inspection program. That was 6 years ago. The superintendent of Bass Lake Provincial Park, Scott Thomas, I had a very productive meeting with him 3 weeks ago. The irony as a result of that meeting is that last Wednesday, Bass Lake Park had to close its beach due to the evidence of blue-green algae. He, at the time of the interview, was very supportive of a healthy Bass Lake. Lastly, in touch with FOCA, Federation of Ontario Cottagers Association, again, very supportive of our initiative and a program for Bass Lake, indicating that throughout the province, there are multiple inland lakes that have a program in place. And so in this case, she assured me that Oro-Medonte would simply have to replicate what is already in place for several of those lakes. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Davies. Council, I'll open the floor right now for questions to the matter. Is there any questions from members of council? Okay, Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much for this very important presentation and consideration. You know, the climate change and other matters are driving us in a direction that we might not have been relevant even as recently as 5 or 6 years ago. I am looking at the report here with regard to the 2020 report, and I see that 73 persons were or property owners were in favor of a program and 76 were not. So, and these are the properties within 100 meters. So it's fair to say that the matter is pretty evenly split by way of the property owners. Generally speaking, I mean, as a person who's subject to the Lake Simcoe 100-meter restriction, I mean, I do believe that there's merit in such things, and I am in favor of such a program. Parts of it, I think, would be important with regard to the next steps to, you know, understand what perhaps scientifically, what some of this magnitude that's associated with the blue-green algae is, and certainly if the Ministry of the Environment, who also regulates the parks, should have And that might not have been the case 6 years ago, I don't think. Anyway, nonetheless, they also have a pretty embedded interest in this, and I'm happy to hear that Minister Dunlop is in support of such a program and would assist potentially, at least in pursuing funds for such an undertaking. So I'm in favor of proceeding, and I'll leave it at that for the rest of my colleagues to make their comments.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Lavoie. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you, I am the representative for SSCA from Oro-Medonte, so I'm quite familiar with the monitoring of the blue-green algae, not only for Bass Lake, but other inland lakes in our watershed. And we talk a lot about this at the SSCA, and I really appreciate your presentation because it does sort of bring for me full circle sort of the cause and the impact, and hearing from your viewpoint the efforts that you've gone through in the past to bring this to council's attention. I'm still trying to process that you were in front of council 5 years ago, and yet here you are again. So I too would be in favor of looking at pursuing further information from both the environmental governances, as well as I'll go back to SSCA and dig a little deeper as well into sort of what their data is on Bass Lake in relation to septic versus other environmental factors that are impacting your lake. But I truly appreciate how disruptive and upsetting this would be for your community. So I would also be in favor of pursuing looking at this more closely.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you. Thank you so much. That was well presented, and I appreciate your concern, and it's very genuine for the lake, and I have a sort of an attachment to the area as well. I guess looking at the first report from November, there was one paragraph that stuck out and says the protection of the environment, human health, and natural resources should be at the forefront of any application of a sewage maintenance program. And then looking at some of the survey responses, most of the negative included costs. And I appreciate that times are very challenging, and these costs can be significant. But if we truly believe that the protection of the environment is at the forefront, we should try to find a way to make both of those work. And then maybe secondary with these next steps, if we are going to go down that route with a survey again, I really ask that the gentlemen before us are part of the formation of that survey, and that they have some input on how it's designed, because looking at some of those responses, many of them have been duplicated word for word multiple times throughout. So it's a lot of copying, pasting, and I think a lot of lobbying, and maybe to try to find how genuine these results are, or whether there's some kind of forces at play that push it in one direction or the other. So I just would really like that these gentlemen are a part of the process moving forward. And those are my only comments at this point.
No, thank you very much, Councillor Bard. And I do agree. You gentlemen have to be a part of the solution, because you are residents on Bass Lake and you're part of the association. You know, a couple of things I want to make comment on is, one is I want to acknowledge Severn Sound, and they've taken a very proactive approach to things, and I believe this year they're implementing an educational component, not just on blue-green algae, but all septic systems and everything that impact the lake, which hopefully, I think education is a big part of the first steps towards the final solution. So hopefully that will have an impact. What we'd like to see is, from the report from last term, is where it was 76-73 split, that the number is more like 120 to 20 some in favor of protecting the lake and taking the right steps. Because at the end of the day, similar to the Lake Simcoe program that's implemented, we got to look at not just the people on the lake, but any tributaries that feed into the lake as well, which would include, and it will come at a cost. And I'm going to actually ask, it's a little out of the norm, but that's because I think it brings value to this discussion, which is very important. I'm going to get Gary McCartney to comment and bring some background for council to understand as we move forward, because there is a cost to implementing a septic inspection program, and it has got even more significant for those that are part of the Lake Simcoe program. So, you know, I don't want the public to view this as just another financial grab from the council. It's actually in order to protect the lake and the people that enjoy it and use it, whether it's the residents or the public. So, Mr. McCartney, would you care to bring some kind of color to what the gentlemen are requesting as far as a monitoring program of the septic system around the Bass Lake area, similar to Lake Simcoe, please?
Yes, certainly, Your Worship. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you very much for the presentation. It was very good, and for being here today. So as far as the Ontario Building Code from an enforcement standpoint, there is obviously the required septic maintenance program that's conducted throughout the municipality. It's around 2,700 properties that we do that to for the Lake Simcoe watershed, anything within that 100 meters that you had mentioned. Now, the code does allow for a discretionary program to anything that we see fit, regulating the requirements of septic systems to meet 8 and 9 of the Ontario Building Code. That's the enforcement side of things. Beyond that, we have had the septic maintenance program as part of our fees update. The fees have increased. One cycle, it's not per year, it's per a 5-year cycle, is a $450 fee per property owner. And that is the service level fee for the inspection of the maintenance program and the administration of the program over that 5-year period. Including, or not including, which would require your septic pump outs, the inspection by one of the qualified inspectors that we have on staff, so on and so forth. Currently, the rates that we are seeing for septic pump outs that are required are anywhere from about $550 to $700. So that would be our best guess at what the average cost for a property owner would be, on top of if there is anything, as you mentioned in your deputation, if there is any issues with the system as a whole, for example, a steel tank or something like that, that would have to be removed. I think it is also important to focus on the educational side of things, and I am going to put a little plug in here, because over the past year, we have been working with the SSEA, and the SSEA next Friday is going to be doing a little educational outreach piece at the Bass Lake boat launch, where they will be passing out educational information from everything from laundry detergents to water or shoreline seedlings and that sort of thing, as well as septic information. We have, as a part of that, put together with staff's assistance, have put together like a septic educational or septic smart webpage on our Oro-Medonte webpage to assist people, acknowledging the fact that there are a number of property owners in our area that don't fully understand septic systems, how they work, and how important the educational side of things is, not only for this program, but across our municipality. So not just for those lakefront properties. So hopefully that gives you a little background on what the cost and kind of what we have seen throughout the numerous years of implementing the program from a mandatory perspective.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. McCartney. So I think that gives a better idea of, we hear the concerns, they're real, and we need to find a solution. At the end of the day, the solution can't be something that is just divested over the entire tax levy of the township. It's specific to that lake and the residents surrounding it and those that are along the tributaries feeding into it. So I think that would be the responsible way. We will bring it back as a matter to deal with, gentlemen. And I would also, ask you to work with the SSCA and advocate your ratepayer association residents to understand and be educated. Education is much cheaper than rehabilitation. So I would definitely, if you can help us with that voice, and then we will bring it back in order to address and see what is the best path forward. And I see Mr. McCartney got his hand up again. Sorry, please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one other item that I would like to add that you touched on in your deputation. In regards to failed systems, if there is a failed system anywhere across the municipality, the Ontario Building Code gives us quite a bit of enforcement ability to be able to deal with that. So if there is any issues, and there are truly failed systems, then we do have, outside of a discretionary program or any program for that matter, we have quite the enforcement ability to be able to stop failed systems and have them replaced with code compliant measures and that sort of thing. So I do want to touch on that because it is different than buildings. Septic systems are required to be continually maintained, and we have the ability to enforce that if necessary. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a excuse me, question directed at Gary McCartney there. Gary, I assume that there are private sector inspectors. Is that correct? And if so, are their reports accepted by the township if they give a pass or it's acceptable to the township? And I'm curious what it would cost in the private sector for, if there are ones, I assume there are, what it does cost to have somebody come in and do the inspection. Perhaps Gary first, and then thank you.
Through Your Worships, Councillor Young. Excellent question. Given that we've had the program for quite a number of years, as we mentioned, there has been a number of different avenues that we've done in the past. One of those has been using a third-party inspection through the municipality, so a qualified individual could provide that. That ended up being a direction that was gone against because there was an inability to control the cost on that individual or on the individual property owner, because some qualified individuals would charge a certain fee and others would charge more, and so on and so forth. So that came back to council, and that was then brought back to a flat fee that was applied. So there are companies, third-party individuals that provide that service if requested. However, it's in our past experience, there is an imbalance of fees when that's applied. So if we're looking for a consistent approach, the third-party piece is difficult. Thank you.
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Young, because Councillor Young had asked perhaps both of us to respond. I can respond anecdotally to say that I deal with a company, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them here, but I deal with a a company that works on my septic system that does the repairs and pumps it out on a regular basis. My experience is that 100% of the time, I request that an inspection of the system also be done. The cost to me of the incremental inspection is almost zero, $100, $200 at the most, because the team is already down there in my septic system, pumping it out and making sure everything works. They have found problems, which I then remediated at a small cost to myself. But it, at the very least, a component of this will have to be education, more education to those owners who are, let's say, Toronto-based people who own a cottage on Bass Lake, who really have, forgive me for characterizing them, some of them have absolutely no idea what they should be doing as best practice, and to educate those people who are only up occasionally, in addition to everybody else who lives on the lake permanently like I do, to that as part of their, at the absolute very least, as part of their natural process of pumping out their septic system, that they also have an inspection so that they will understand, even if the rest of us won't necessarily benefit, what the issues are, if any, regarding their system. And that's a document that's created for me that I keep on file. And as part of this program, perhaps, if people can come forward with a very recent document of that sort, that might be considered in combination with what the township might decide to do as part of proof that that their system is not the one that's causing the problem, that perhaps somebody else's is. But this is a deep issue. I'm having fun with the septic concept. This is a deep issue because there are properties that are in the third hands or fourth hands of ownership, where they have absolutely no idea how their system is laid out, what it comprises, how it works. They don't know. There are no plans. The township may not have any registered plans. So I can see where the extra costs perhaps of a township system comes in, because there might be a requirement to actually identify physically where is this thing on the property, as well as then investigating it to make sure that it's compliant. So we understand there are costs of any part of this that is going to get the most resistance, and what found the most resistance during the survey last time is the mention of set cost, because people naturally don't want to pay more for anything if they can avoid it. Most people. That includes the residents and users of properties on or around Bass Lake. My township council taxes were $7,413 this past year. That money comes from me to this council and to the staff in order to spend it properly. The vast majority of that money is not spent in any way that benefits me or my household. I wanted to add this for council and staff to consider the fact that, I'm thrilled that a new community center is being built on Horseshoe Valley Road.
No, Mr. David, I just asked, we're deviating outside of what
yes,
we're here
we are,
to talk
course.
about. So if we can
Well,
stay to this and focus on the fact that what you've come and asked for us to take into consideration and stay within that parameter, then we can move forward. And we have dwelled a lot of time on this, and I do want to get to Councillor Schell to be able to ask one question, if you don't mind.
Of course, Your Worship. Sorry for going off on the
No, it's
financial side of things.
Passion is something that we all try to control, right? So
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for your guidance.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you to it's either Stephen or Bill. I'm not sure which one of you mentioned other municipalities already have a system set up that it's easy for us to adapt without starting all over fresh. Can you help us out there?
Yes, I appreciate the question. Thank you for that. My understanding through Severn Sound is that the most replicable inland lake in their jurisdiction that has had a program for some time is in Tiny Township. And the lake that's affected is Fairlea. That is and was the case in 2019 when we advocated that a program like that be applied to Bass Lake. I might just, while I still have some mic time, indicate my particular response to the term cost. That we are talking about the cost of a program. I would like to go on record to say that the cost of not having a program is really scary. Thank you.
No, perfect, thank you. Okay, is there any other questions? There's no doubt, if there is a program, there will be costs. And that's I don't know the mathematical formula around avoiding that. So, you have another question, Deputy Mayor? I'm going to restrict everything to questions now because we're, please.
Well, I can frame what I'm going to say in the form of a question. What I'd like to do, if we're going to proceed, is to suggest that this whole matter be based on, in my view, that it should be based on science as opposed to opinion. So although I'm prepared to put some weight on what the residents say, I also think that we ought to consider that this is the natural environment we're talking about and it speaks for itself. I would also ask that staff, if we proceed, look at the impacts of either Bill 5 or Bill 17, because they have specifically indicated in there that municipalities are not to exceed the guidelines set out in the Ontario Building Code. And that finally, I'd like to understand what the impact of the provincial park is, because these are all units of flow. So we ought to know what the capacity of the provincial park system is and what its discharge is in relation to the rest of the residents of our township. So thank you very much, and sorry there weren't questions.
Okay. So is that fine? No more questions at this time? Councillor Bard?
I guess my question would be, so what's our next step here? Like, I think our guests would like to know exactly what we are proposing to do or what our plan of action is.
Okay. No, thank you. And it will come back to Gary. So Gary, you had your hand up. Do you want to say your piece? And then I think it will come back to your department to come back with a report and a recommendation on what the gentlemen have presented to us today.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I think that would be the correct path, is that we do look at the science behind this and see what is available and the costs directly there, and we can certainly report back.
Perfect. Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for an amazing presentation about a very important matter, and this will come back to this council to make a decision on the direction we need to move forward in order to help preserve the lake and the residents and homes around it.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors, for your tremendous support, and through you again to the staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the deputants. I just need to confirm for the motion if a petition was submitted.
Mr. Davids, was there a petition submitted? The clerk had a question. I apologize. Madam Clerk, could you repeat that for?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the deputants. It indicates in the motion that a petition was submitted. Is that the case?
There was a petition created by Bill Anderson online. It's at change.org, I believe. And the results of the petition show 69 people have signed up to say they're in support of it. It's like the surveys. I mean, who's going to answer in that sort of
But it hasn't been submitted at this time?
Have we submitted the results of that survey, or will we now?
The actual petition,
The survey.
was submitted. If that's not the case, then I can certainly provide council with the actual petition.
Well, how would we do that? Through you, Your
I'm just
Worship?
waiting, Madam Clerk, to give a response. Please.
We'll strike it from the motion, and then you can speak with the deputy clerk offline.
Okay, and then you
Thank
could submit it at a later date, but just so that the motion is correct versus what materials we currently have. Okay, thank you very much.
Through you, Your Worship. Thank you for pointing that out for us.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could we have the motion, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the deputation by Stephen Davis and Bill Anderson, Bass Lake Ratepayers Association, re-shoreline septic systems be received and referred to staff for a report.
Okay. Any questions regarding the motion? I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. We'll now move on to item 9, identifications from the public of items of interest. Is there any item on the agenda from anyone in chamber that would like it moved forward because they're not around for the entire meeting? Seeing none, that's fine. Madam Clerk, we'll move to open forum. Have you received any registrations from the public to provide verbal comments on the agenda items?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not have anyone registered for open forum.
Is there anyone in chamber that would like to speak to any of the items on the agenda today? Seeing none, then we'll move on to reports. Item 11, reports of municipal officers for action. May we have a motion for 11A, please, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that OCS 2025-11, Justin Matris, Manager of Infrastructure and Capital Projects, re-award of tender OCS RFT 25005, Lakeshore Road West Drainage Improvements be received and adopted. That tender OCS RFT 25005, Lakeshore Road West Drainage Improvements Part D be awarded to KJ Excavating Inc. in the amount of $904,687.50 plus HST. That should a favorable variance exist between the overall 2025 roads construction capital budget, that Part E, $128,280, also be awarded to KJ Excavating Inc. Following the approval by the Chief Financial Officer, and that the Director of Operations and Community Services be authorized to execute the appropriate agreements on behalf of the township.
Okay. Members of the council, open the floor for any comments or questions regarding this item. Seeing none, I'll then call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. Madam Clerk, and may we have the draft motion for 11B, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that DS 2025-065, Curtis Shellswell, Manager, Municipal Law, re-permit parking fee exemption request be received and adopted. That council approve option number as outlined in DS 2025-065. That the representative from the Citizen Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council, Citizen Métis Nation of Ontario, be made aware of the council decision in writing from the Manager of Municipal Law Services. So council has
A decision.
options
Yep,
to.
option A or B,
Yep.
or 1 or 2. Okay. Council, I'll open the floor for any questions or comments at this time, and then I will need someone to put forth on the floor which option we're going to vote on, and then go from there. So any comments or questions at this time? Councillor Bard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So just to clarify, the $25 for an additional pass would cover all of the staff fees involved in this, so it's sort of a cost neutral. I guess the permit, if we're waiving a $25 fee for a handful of people that may apply, is that what we're asking?
No, I think the motion is we are either approving the passes or we are not approving the passes. So we're either allowing free passes as being requested, or we're saying no, they have to purchase like every other resident within the township under the same conditions.
Okay, I was just wondering if the $25 that we're asking them to pay covers our cost, but we're not asking, the fee that I guess we're waiving. So the $25 is the total cost of this. If there's 10 people, we're looking at $250, is I guess what I was trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, CAO Bench, would you like to bring clarity, or Mr. Spagnell?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. And I just would also like to point out that Manager Shellswell is also in on the call as well, as he's the author to the report. But my understanding is that the $25 tied to this is for the third pass. But ultimately, it's parking passes for anybody that would be in that Region 7 that would be considered to be or dealt with like resident passes, and they would be provided the 2 free passes as of right if council were to approve the request coming in from the Métis Nation group. And I can turn it over to Manager Shellswell if he has anything further to add. Thank you.
Mr. Shellswell, do you have any other further comment at this time?
Thanks, Mayor Greenlaw. Yes, so resident passes, as Mr. Spagnell has spoken about, are free. That's typically where we would go with this if you approve it. Non-residential passes right now for the year cost $175. So then, yeah, the $25 one is just additional passes for residents only, and yeah, it wouldn't be included in this request at all. Thank you.
Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you. So through you, Mayor Greenlaw, do we have an indication of the number of passes we would potentially be looking at, or providing free of this charge, so that I can get a sense of the financial aspect of this?
Through Mayor Greenlaw to Councillor Hutchison, no, I don't know any kind of numbers at this time until we kind of get through it for a year. You wouldn't really know who's going to take advantage of the program.
Okay. Councillor Young?
Well, I think Councillor Hutchison asked a question I was going to ask, and last time I speak to her about it.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions at this time? Do I have of the 2 options? So, another question?
I was going to present, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through here, I was going to present option 1, sorry, but if that's not what you're asking, then.
Well, are there any other questions at this time before? I think the thing is my concern is we have a fee for our residents. We have 2 passes per household, 2 tax-paying residents in this township. We already are limited on the number of parking spots we have along the lakefront. So I'd leave it up to council to make the decision, but I think we need to be respectful. The parking lots we have to build or we have to maintain are on the taxpayers of this township. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, sorry for this. What I'm struggling with here isn't the money. I'm struggling with what the rights are. And it's not clear to me from what's here what the rights might be. So I'm not sure that I can confidently cast a vote. So that's what I'm sort of thinking about. I mean, I don't know, particularly for the Métis community, and I make my apologies. I should be more advised on what Indigenous and Métis community rights are, but I'm not. That being the case, I'm seized in terms of my ability to vote. So I'll leave it at that for now, and I may abstain, but the intent is not to vote against something by abstention. I'm just not confident that it's an advised vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Schell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Curtis Shellswell. Can you help the public understand and appreciate. The first time we were giving parking tags that you hung on your rearview mirror, and they were gifts, if you will call it that, to the public. There was no charge. Now we've progressed into a more complicated system that's got everybody ticked. Like, is there, what's the difference? Has it made a big difference?
Well, no, I don't
With
think
the
that,
parking?
I don't, like, and I appreciate the question, but that's not the question that is in front of us right now. In front of us is do we allow parking passes to the Métis community as requested in the motion? It's not about the actual parking, how we implement the parking system. So it's not about tags versus online. This is about, are we approving the request that's before us versus the mechanics of the system. So Councillor Hutchinson?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I appreciate your comments, Deputy Mayor Lavoie, but I do think we need to seek some sort of direction today. And is there a possibility for us to, because for me, the financial impact of this is important, to perhaps extend the waiver of the fee for this year so that we can accumulate the data on how much usage there would be, and then revisit the decision next year. I'm not sure if that is plausible, but it would allow us to have more data behind whether this is actually a financial burden to the community, or that parking spaces are being used up, versus not really knowing that information.
Okay, thank you. So I think what you're asking is for an amendment to the options and adding a third option. What would permit it this year for further review and the decision to be made. So this is only till the end of this year, 2025. And then if you have, Madam Clerk, do we need a seconder, or can that just be a friendly amendment?
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I would floor that as a friendly amendment, as the mover.
And Councillor Bard said he would second that motion as a friendly amendment, Madam Clerk, so.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I will reread the motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that DS 2025-065, Curtis Shelswell, Manager, Municipal Law, permit parking fee exemption request be received and adopted. That Council approve the request for issuance of passes for the 2025 season as a pilot for further review in 2026. and that the representative from the Citizen Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council, Citizen Métis Nation of Ontario, be made aware of the council decision in writing from the manager of municipal law services.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Are there any questions regarding that draft motion? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that is carried, Madam Clerk. May we have a draft motion for 11C, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that CS 2025-11, Donna Hewitt, Director of Corporate Services, Fees and Charges Bylaw Update be received and adopted. That Council supports the changes recommended in CS 2025-11, effective August 1st, 2025. That staff bring forward the appropriate bylaw amendments for Council's consideration.
Okay, Council members, the floor is open for any questions or comments at this time. Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you, and to Ms. Hewitt, thank you for all the work that you're doing on this continued program of review. I did, when I read through it, I did have a question that I posed to Fire Chief Payment, and I just wanted to speak to that. It was with regard to the Schedule C and under fireworks approval and inspections going to $100. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that that was more for fireworks events such as Burles Creek or at the resorts, not necessarily a permit that has been issued to a community member, and I wanted to make sure that people were aware of that. So thank you. I clarified that through the chief.
Thank you very much for that clarification, Councillor. Councillor Bard.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Ms. Hewitt. We'll obviously get some questions about the increases in some of these fees and just some low-hanging fruit. The first ones, they triple the compliance reports. They triple in price, and I just want you to give sort of a frame of reference of when was the last time these fees would have been established to provide some context to see why that would have increased so significantly. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bard and to the rest of Council, thank you for the question, and I appreciate the heads up that this was going to be asked. As Council recalls, Mr. Spagnol has just gone through a fairly comprehensive development services fee review, and the recommendations that are in the report and in the bylaw reflect the results of that. But in looking at the history of these fees have been status quo since 2005. So it has been a significant period since they were actually increased. So I think the timing and the work done by Mr. Spagnol have resulted in these recommended changes.
Thank you very much for that clarification, and Mr. Bard for the question. It shows in 20 years how much the cost of a bag of potato chips, let alone a gallon of gas, has gone up, and you know, everything needs to kind of keep pace. So no, we're not talking about that now. Councillor Young.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I read it, but I can't recall whether or not the fee for when you apply for the permit that the parks, it's been $2,000 for years and years, and I mentioned that before. Is that going to go up, or is that not going to go up? I mean, things are a lot more expensive now in terms of placing a park, or at least equipment for it. If that's been looked at.
Mr. Spagnol.
Mayor Greenlaw, just for clarification through to Councillor Young, is Councillor Young referring to the cash in lieu of parkland fee that is required by the township for developments, specifically for severances, for example?
Yeah, I was referring to parkland, that the fee that has to be paid. I think it's $2,000 that has to be paid.
Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, to Councillor Young. That would be a separate review that would have to be conducted to take a look at to land on an adjusted fee. That process has not started, so currently that fee remain the same as it relates to cash in lieu. It might be something that the division looks at looking at a revised fee for cash in lieu of parkland, but currently the fee stays the same.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Spagnuolo. Does that answer your question, Councillor? Okay, perfect. Any other questions in regards to these matters at this time? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? There are none. That is carried, Madam Clerk. We'll now go to item D, 11D. Ms. Shute, would you like to provide a summary comments in regards to this matter, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To members of council, as you'll recall, at your last June council meeting, there was correspondence that was presented from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing with regards to a new ice storm recovery program, the Municipal Ice Storm Assistance Program. You'll also recall that in April and May, CAO BINS presented 2 presentations, and there was direction sought from council to seek an application through the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program, which at that time was the only program available for the recovery of costs related to the ice storm. Council did pass that resolution and provided direction. Since that time, with the new program, just for clarity and to ensure that there are no misunderstandings, it is staff's desire to have that original motion rescinded and a new motion put on the floor specific to the new program called the Municipal Ice Storm Assistance Program. So we're just wanting to make sure all our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted, because one of the requirements is to supply that resolution, and we want it specific to the new program. I will indicate that we have submitted the survey which was required, and the finance team under Ms. Johnson's leadership has been working on that submission, and we are in good shape. But we just want to make sure that we are clear on the resolution that's required.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that clarification. And I also want to thank Ms. Johnson and her team for all the great work on this. This is very important because there's a significant amount of funds that are there that hopefully we can tap in and utilize. And I know the Ontario government will be supportive. I'm hoping the Ontario government shouldn't say no. So anyways, okay, so are there any other questions in regards to this matter?
Mr. Mayor,
Can I have
before you call the vote or ask for the motion regarding that item, I was speaking with CAO BINS, and you're too fast for me, so
I'm sorry.
I don't know if you called the vote on the bylaw.
On this one, we haven't asked for the vote yet, or
On
we
the
haven't asked for the
bylaw.
motion.
On the bylaw, item 11C.
11C.
I don't believe so, but as I
thought
said, I
we called
believe
the
you're too
vote.
fast for me.
Oh, did you? You're not sure if you call? You did provide the motion.
I did.
Yes, and I did call the vote.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, sorry. Thank
Don't be sorry for being
No,
too
no, no, no,
fast.
no. It's all good. It's communication, and we're on the East Coast time. So okay. So could we have the motion for 11D, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the correspondence from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and as presented by Donna Hewitt, Director of Corporate Services, reapply for Municipal Ice Storm Assistance, MISA, be received. That resolution number CS 250429-8 of the April 29th, 2025 Special Council meeting be rescinded. That staff be directed to seek financial assistance from the Province of Ontario through the Municipal Ice Storm Assistance, MISA, for expenses incurred as a result of the ice storm. That staff submit the required documentation to support the request for financial assistance prior to July 28, 2025. That staff report back to Council on funding related to the Ice Storm 2025 emergency response.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Any questions or comments in regards to the draft motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. So we're now on at item 12. There's one report to be received. Is there any questions for Ms. Belcourt from council at this time? Yeah, we're just receiving this, but is there any questions council has for Ms. Belcourt? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. Or actually, we'll need the motion first, please, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard, be it resolved that the report as listed under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information, be received.
Okay, before I call the vote, Ms. Belcourt, did you want to say anything? Okay, no, thank you. Okay, all in favor? That is carried. Are there any updates from members of council as township representatives or of our partners and agencies, or announcements you would like to make at this time? We can do it all in one. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the township did receive confirmation from the County of Simcoe that the vote on changing the composition of county council was an 8-8 tie amongst the member municipalities, meaning that the motion to reduce the size of council was not adopted, and so it will remain the same and constituted as it is currently through the next election. So thank you.
No, thank you for that update. And I guess democracy is never perfect, and it's kind of messy at times. But I think the good message out of that is there was much debate and discussion throughout a significant period of time this year to reach the conclusion that we are at this point in time. Okay, so is there any other updates from? Okay, then we will move on to item 14, consent agenda. Does anyone wish to have any items from the consent agenda pulled for discussion?
For a different outcome. They would only be pulled for a different outcome, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry, my apologies. I was getting there.
That's okay.
We for a different outcome, as the clerk has corrected me. Thank you. Seeing none, then can we have a motion to receive the consent agenda, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We have no communications petitions. We have no notice of motions. Are there any, now will be 17, maybe a draft motion for the bylaws, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2025-062, 2025-063 be passed in open council on the 16th day of July 2025.
Are there any questions regarding these bylaws at this time? Councillor Shell.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, I didn't hear. Did you say that they be passed? Okay, I have a question. Bylaw 17B. I'm confused a little bit about the Schedule A on page 1 of 13. The schedule's itemized A, C, D, G, J, and K. And then it goes on down into now therefore items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Item 5 says the Schedule J to bylaw number 0224-134 drinking water be deleted in its entirety and replaced with Schedule E attached hereto and forming part of this amending bylaw I don't see where it's attached. And likewise for number 6, the Schedule K to bylaw 2024-134 wastewater treatment, freed PVT, I'm assuming that's private, forming part of this amendment, amending bylaw. I don't see Schedule F attached either. So I would assume that's a question for Ms. Hewitt.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through to council. If you look at the bylaw that is attached to the agenda, towards the end of the bylaw, you will see, in fact, the last page, page 13 of 13, is the Schedule F, which will be inserted into the original bylaw that we spoke of. So perhaps following council, staff could have a conversation with the council member and explain a little further.
No, thank you. I just don't feel comfortable agreeing to pass a bylaw that's confusing. Items are missing.
Okay, did you reach out to Ms. Hewitt prior to the meeting when you reviewed this material, which we encourage all council members to do if there's confusion or any lack of clarity?
I thought this would be...
I just asked a question. I'm just...
Okay, yeah, but this is a decision that we as a council have to make, not me personally.
No, but did you ask for the clarity to be provided? Did you?
No, I'm asking it here at the table.
Okay.
Because I think this is where the decisions are made.
CAO Benz.
I'll maybe defer to the clerk, Your Worship. We were thinking maybe it might be advantageous to take a couple-minute break, and we can explain and walk through that, and then reconvene.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll take a break and we'll reconvene at 10:30. Is that fair? Thank you.
Would that be adequate time? Yes, that will be adequate time. Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Sorry for the little break. Staff individually answered some questions specifically with Councillor Shell to bring clarity. So Councillor Shell, is the clarity now, has your concerns been answered to vote on this? Or?
Yes, that part was, I have a second question. This would be for probably Michelle, if she's available. It's on the definitions, Schedule E, to the amending bylaw number 2025-063, drinking water definitions. Item 1.2, I'll read it. Municipal drinking water systems shall include all drinking water works established within the present township of Oro-Medonte and shall further include any present or future extensions to the drinking water works under any act or under an agreement between the township or its predecessors, but shall not include any private drinking water works which have not been acquired, established, maintained, or operated by the township or its predecessors. My concern is once we provide water into Zone 1, Cathedral Pines, are we accepting the system and we're taking responsibility for the system?
But it's a new system. I'll let Ms. Jacoby announce, but when my understanding is it's coming into a municipal system. We're not taking over the freed system. It is the new system. But Ms. Jacoby, maybe you could give better clarity for Councillor Shell on this matter.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. You are correct. So when sections of the private free drinking water system become connected to the existing municipal Horseshoe Highland system, that section of water main and those services will become part of the municipal drinking water system. So in your example, when Cathedral Pines starts having water supplied from Horseshoe Highlands, that section only, Cathedral Pines, will become part of the Horseshoe Highlands municipal drinking water systems, while the remaining areas of what we know as Zone 1 or Freed will remain with Freed. So it'll come in bits and pieces, if that answers your question.
Supplemental.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so if we're taking responsibility for it, then does that mean the township is going to take care of upgrading, maintaining, and repairing all those lines that are in there that are defective right now, and we know they are?
I don't know where you're getting the information that there's defective lines in the current system.
I think my question was to Mr. Colby, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I'm just trying to, if you can bring more clarity as to the evidence you have that it is so that she can speak to it. But I'll let her.
Yeah, I think she could tell me.
Okay.
Thanks.
We have no evidence to suggest those lines are defective. That's a private system that's subject to inspections from the Ministry of the Environment. So any type of orders of non-compliance or issues they have would go directly to Freed and would be part of the relationship between the Ministry of the Environment and the owner and operator of that private system. But once we, in your example, connect Cathedral Pines and they become users of the Horseshoe Highlands municipal drinking water system, that infrastructure will become part of that drinking water system and would be operated, maintained, and part of our program in accordance, consistent with other municipal drinking water systems.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I'm opposed to that because we're accepting a system that it'd be like putting a road into a new subdivision. You don't accept that road until it's met the standards of the municipality, who then is going to take over the operation of it. I don't think Cathedral Pines water system meets our standards because and I think you concur that we've had to install pressure reducing valves because the water pipes on the other side of that road are blowing apart.
Okay, thank you very much. CAO Benz.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through council has received multiple reports on the Zone 1 integration project. What's before you today are fees and charges. The clause Councillor Shell, that you're speaking about remains unchanged. There is no changes in the clause in the bylaw that council is being asked to pass. So respectfully, I think the discussions around the integration have been dealt with by council under separate reports. What is before you now is fees and charges, and there's no change to the existing language in question.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, then yes, Councillor Hutchison.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, to Michelle Jacoby. Has there been evidence of pipes blowing apart, as Councillor Shell has alluded to? Just so we can, I know this is a bit off topic, but I also feel I know where this is going, and I would just like your professional opinion. Thank you.
Yes, Jacoby.
Councillor Hutchinson and council, not that I'm aware of any type of water main break or maintenance activity in that regard. Would have to be reported by Freed and Clearford to the Ministry of the Environment, and I am not aware of any major breaks or breaches or repairs required in that system as of today.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Jacoby. Okay, if there's no further questions, then I'll call the vote on the motion that was read. All in favor? Opposed?
Can I have the vote recorded, please?
Councillor Shell has requested a recorded vote.
If I can just have a moment. And through you, Mr. Mayor, for clarity, this is just on bylaw 2025-063.
Is that what you're asking for? You're asking for a recorded vote because they were packaged together. You're asking them to be separated now?
Yes.
Okay. So could we vote? You've read the motion. Do you have to read? We can separate. Can we vote on A first, and then we'll do B second, and that'll be the recorded vote, Madam Clerk?
Sure.
Okay. So I'll call the vote on item 17A. All in favor? Any opposed? Councillor Shell, were you voting on this matter?
My paperwork's been misplaced here.
No, but I just called the vote on 17A. Were you going to vote on that matter?
Yes, I'm in favor of that.
You're in favor of that? Okay, that is carried. Now we'll call, Madam Clerk, if, do you need to reread B, or do you?
I need a mover and a seconder.
Okay, can I have a mover for B? I have Councillor Young and Deputy Mayor Lavoie. And you have read the motion already. Do you want to reread just
Yes.
that, please?
Yes, I will reread.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-063 be passed in open council on the 16th day of July 2025. Recorded vote requested by Councillor Shell. Councillor Shell?
Nay.
Councillor Young?
Yes.
Councillor Bard?
Yay.
Councillor Clark is absent. Councillor Hutchison?
Yay.
Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor?
In favor?
Motion is carried.
Okay. Thank you. Now we will move on to item 18, closed session. May we have a motion to go into closed, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 10:40 a.m. to discuss a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. Intermunicipal relationships, provincial facilitator.
All in favor? That is carried. We'll see everyone in close. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome back, everybody. May we have a motion to rise from close and report out, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 12:22 p.m. Report on closed session item 18B.
All in favor? Any opposed? None, I see. That's carried, Madam Clerk. And may we have a draft motion for item 18B?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the confidential presentation provided by Sean Binns, CAO, and George Vadabancourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, a position plan, procedure criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, intermunicipal relationships, provincial facilitator be received, and that staff proceed as directed by council.
Thank you very much. All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a draft motion for the confirmation bylaw?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-068, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, July 16th, 2025, be passed in open council on the 16th day of July 2025.
All in favor? Any opposed? There are none. That is carried. And may we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 12:24 p.m.
All in favor? Any opposed? There's none opposed again. That is carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great week and enjoy the nicer weather.